Amy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy, and I am the owner and operator and principal designer of Mondolfo Interior Design. I started this business last year in January. I offer full service design specializing in kitchen and bathrooms. And I'm here. Obviously, I'm very new at being in business. I've been in business 20 months, and it's been quite a journey. I've learned an immense amount. And I'm always open-minded and willing to learn as much as I can, so that way I can enhance everything that I'm doing and provide exceptional customer service.
Wonderful. And Patricia.
Hi, I'm Patricia Mattis. I'm with Next Stage Design Build, and I am camera going here. And I'm actually I've been a with Next Stage for about 8 years, and I'm just looking for some new ideas to kind of freshen up some business practices, and just to kind of shake it up and learn a little bit more.
Wonderful. And Ron.
Thank you. My name is Ron Horry. My company is FinFit Life. That stands for Financial Fitness, Physical Fitness, and Lifestyle. I'm what we call a financial fitness associate. So we do something very unique. We combine health and fitness with financial services. So we want to encourage and motivate people to be more active in their health. And we also provide financial solutions in this up and down world. So I'm here to learn, listen, possibly collaborate with other people. And basically, I love to learn about what's new in the industry, always open to new ideas. Thank you.
Great, wonderful. Darren.
Yes, I'm Darren Gutman with Propel Fundraising. Amy, I wanted to congratulate you on your new ownership. New ownership is super easy. I just want you to know that it's not hard at all. Yeah, I am the founder, and that was Joe. I am the founder and CEO of Propel Fundraising. We are a company that works with high school athletics, and we supply the products that the kids sell to support their team. Our company and our industry has gone through a really big transition since the pandemic. We've gone from on campus to all virtual. And so we've also gone from kind of like a seasonal to a 12-month business plan. So learning how to be more profitable in our new business model is what brings me here today.
Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. I think I got everyone. Is there anybody that I didn't call on? And I do want to introduce Shai. Shai is our foundational person. She's helping coordinate the meeting and running all the back scene stuff. So thank you, Shai, for what you're doing for the meeting. So the purpose of our discussion today centers around this: profit. That seems like an easy word. It's kicked around a lot, but how many businesses don't understand it? They know they need it, but they don't know how that they need to define everything they do around it. This is one of the things that Wendy came to through her experience with very big companies, helping them increase their value, helping companies sell themselves and literally sell themselves. And it was something that she has dug deep into. Wendy is an out-of-the-box thinker, if you don't know her. And one of the things that she will let you know pretty soon, especially if you try to shake her hand in a greeting, is Wendy is left-handed. And so because she's left-handed, her life has been about looking at things from different angles. She brought me on, and I'm right-handed. So when she calls me her right-hand guy, she's actually not kidding. But one of the things that Wendy came to was a realization that a lot of business people look at their revenue as their success factor. And that does not tell the whole story. So Wendy is a mastermind in terms of financial systems And most importantly, Wendy knows how to shake out the data that opens your door of your company to growth. If you want to grow your company, looking at that map that your profit picture lays out is the way to get there. Profit creates your value path. Profit is the thing that will make your company more valuable. It will make you more successful and give you the ability to do what you want to do in your company. Wendy's methodology centers around something that she has trademarked called the 4 points of focus. These are the key contributors to your profitability. These inform your marketing strategies. What marketing strategies will drive you to profit? Your financial structure and growth. What financial systems and what structure will tell you the story of your profit? Operational excellence. How do your operations keep from depleting your profit? And people and team building. Who on your staff and their talents are aligned with your greater profitability as opposed to being cost to you? So that is some of the very, very brief basics on this. But we're going to open up to our first question, and we would love your input on this. How do you measure your company's profitability versus its revenue? Please use the raised hand icon on your system, and I'll be happy to call on anybody who wants to share. And otherwise, I have your names. I may call on you anyway. Anybody have some thoughts?
So when you say measure profitability against revenue, what might be an example of that?
So if you're selling a box and you get $50 for that box, and you sell 10 boxes and you get $500, how do you know what your profit is versus what the sale of $500 is? Do you go out and buy a $500 TV set? Jennifer, what are your thoughts on that?
Numbers have never really been my strength. I can see when I have positive cash flow versus negative cash flow. And that is why I outsource it to my accounting team and my bookkeeping team, and they send me reports. So we do measure, what is the industry standard for marketing and what is our profitability in that scope of where are we as far as industry standard, and they just send me reports, and it's been fabulous. So yay, QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. Okay. Alea, what are your thoughts on this?
As an artist, the way to measure profitability is basically I have my material costs, but the price that I sell my art pieces are very different from the material cost. So it is also the amount of time and the effort in a lot of ways. I mean, it's just different for art, maybe. I don't know.
And Wendy, what are your thoughts on kind of some of the ideas?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. So there is, from an accounting standpoint or financial standpoint, there's total revenue, your total top line revenue. And then there's your real profit that you need to think about. So when you have a total revenue, and let's say, for example, you're a construction company or an interior design, right, where you have a project and you might have to pay someone like an outside consultant or an independent contractor, or you have to buy furniture in order to stage that event, perhaps, or an interior design. That difference between the total revenue, subtract from that your cost to pay outside contractors or for materials, that difference really is your net your profit. In other words, it's gross profit or the total amount of money that you actually have to run your business. So in order for you to really understand how to achieve profitability, you really need to know what that number is so that you know how much you can pay yourself, how much you can pay for your rent, how much you can pay for your marketing costs, your advertising costs, all of that. And then you come down to what's left over that, to Jen's point, you then can bank that in the bank, right? But knowing your profitability for your company on that total profit, if you will, is really, really important to being able to grow your company, as well as being able to determine processes that need to get in place so that you can have even more profitability. Hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. So let's move on to the second question. And I'll call on a few people to share on this. What are your challenges to determining your company's true profitability? So we're talking about profit, and I get the sense a lot of people have a sense that they have profit, but what are your challenges to finding out exactly what that profit is? And Ron, would you mind sharing with us your thoughts on that?
Sure, numbers are not my main strength, but I think it's basically tracking all of your expenses, the cost of goods, and knowing where your money is going that you would subtract from your top line to really get to your profitability. So that's just a high level of how I would understand it.
Great. And Amy, what are your thoughts?
I don't really have any thoughts. That's why I'm here. I'm here to learn and listen. I've only been in business 20 months. I don't have enough data. And I've made thousands of dollars in mistakes that I have learned very quickly I will never make again. But, from the inception of an idea to actually surviving through this whole entire process, yes, at this point in time, I'm tightening up my processes. I am streamlining and all that kind of stuff. But to determine my company's profitability is a little challenging kind of in the type of work that I do until I have everything a lot more detailed and buttoned up.
I think you just defined challenging to determining profitability excellently.
Yeah.
That you're not alone
Oh,
in everything you just said. I think that you're
Yeah,
right on point.
the new entrepreneur, I just did this. And I've just been persevering through. However, there's a huge, ginormous learning curve in doing this with literally every single aspect, not just with the work alone, which is interior design, but with the actual running of a business. It's a lot more than I anticipated, but it's very fun too. And I can't wait to have more stable monthly income, but it is what it is.
If I I'm sorry, Rob, if I may interject there, I would like to talk a little bit about, your very first company, because we've all been there. All of us have been there. And I want to offer you support, emotional support. If you ever have a question about finance, whatever, call me. I'm always available to help, especially women-owned business owners. I will tell you, I wish I had a little Wendy or somebody like me when I opened up my first business. This is my fourth company.
Wow.
And I've learned a lot. Now, Rob has told you I've sold, been a part of selling of two companies, one of them to a public company. I will tell you, I wish I would have known what I know now, what I didn't know when I started my first company. So it's stuff like this where you can share information back and forth that can help you move forward, and just, be persistent. That's all I can say. Be persistent, believe in yourself. You will make it happen.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very awesome. So let's move to discussion question number 3. What financial data points do your financial system provide that inform your profitability? I think Jennifer shared of getting those data points out of QuickBooks and being presented to her. So when those data points are presented to you in some form, what do you do with it? What does that tell you?
Right.
Dawood, would you mind sharing on that?
Sure. Financial data points. I think you could look at top line revenue, total revenue. You could look at total expenses. You can look at the bottom line to see if you have a net positive or negative. You could do analysis on. I'm an accountant and CPA, so finance and accounting is my thing, and I've heard other people in the audience they say that numbers are not really their strong suit, but that's what I do in day to day. So, and what my company does as well. So yeah, there's many ways of looking at it. Total revenue, total cost, total expenses, the bottom line, so to speak. You could also splice it and dice it. You could measure net profit against revenue. You could measure operating profit against revenue to get to operating margin. You could take gross margin. There's different ways of looking at profitability. So hope that helps, or hope that hasn't confused anyone. But interesting question though. Thanks.
Yeah, Darren, what are your thoughts on this? When you get your financial data points put in front of you from your financial system, how does that inform you?
So for us, our profitability starts in the picking of our product. So we, like, you've had kids knock on the door and sell cookie dough or popcorn or something like that. That's the kind of stuff. Those are our products. And so we used to be in a situation where every product we offered was $20, and we would make $5 gross profit on each one of those. Well, since the pandemic, things changed a lot, and now our industry has moved to a variety of pricing, could be as high as $150 or as low as $20 or $25. And so that kind of threw a little bit of a wrench in the works, primarily because 40% immediately goes to the school. So I don't think anybody else has that situation where an automatic 40% of the gross sale goes directly to the school. So as we're transitioning, and Amy, I'm hearing you because I've been doing this for a little while, but our business has gone through a whole change because of the pandemic. And so we're like, it feels like I'm starting over almost. Mm-hmm. And so figuring out how to be profitable on those different pricing structure that I'm not accustomed to, it's kind of hard to figure out what financial data I should be looking at this stage, if that makes sense. That's why I'm here, actually.
Yep. Yeah, I'd love to pick Wendy's brain on this one. Wendy, when people they have their systems and out comes different financial factoids, where do you advise them to do with those?
So I guess I would start probably with QuickBooks. And as Jen mentioned, your financial statements really tell a story about your company. It tells you where you've been, where you are today, and where you can go for the future. And if you take into account what they're telling you, and then you map it out over the next 12 months, and Amy, I probably would suggest that you do this, even though you've been in business for 20 months, I would say plan the next 12 months. Take the information out of your QuickBooks or your Excel spreadsheet, whatever you're using, and then create a 12-month plan for yourself so that you have some goals set up.
That's awesome.
And then you have you put in your expenses that you think you're going to incur. Then you have a better peace of mind of how you can run your company, how you grow your company, and how you can better manage your cash flow. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, cash is king. You got to have cash in order to survive your company. And if you want to be able to grow your company and scale it, you've got to have money to reinvest back into your business. Mm-hmm. So I would probably say start with the very basics. As Jen said, start with the very basics of QuickBooks. and go from there.
Very good.
If I can add to that, oh, Jen, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add to that as well. Go ahead, and then I'll add on after that.
I think what Wendy said was information I got later in my entrepreneurial career. And what I learned was I look at it at 2 months at a time. So I set my goal. So today is August. So I set my goal for September. And then in October, I look at what actually happened. And then I reset my goals for October at that time. So I don't know if you recommend that, Wendy, but that's the one thing for me that if I just create it at the beginning of the year and just forget about it, it's not even worth creating. It's the fact that every month you look at what actually happened. Did you exceed? Did you miss? And then what do I project for next month based on what's really happened in September? What's really do I think could happen in October versus what I said back in December, what I thought would happen in October, two typically very different things. So that's what I was going to add.
I think that's a really great comment. So let me kind of explain too. When we work with customers, we don't just look at the 1 year forecast. We go by quarters, what we call the 90-day sprints. So then we set up our goals. I usually say 3 to 4 goals. Don't get overwhelmed. 3 to 4 goals, 90-day sprints. And then we meet with our customers monthly to then look at how well did you do against that goal and against your annual forecast. And then what is it that you can do in the next month or the next month after that, like you were talking, Darren, in order to be able to continue keeping the pedal on the gas, if you will, or gas on the whatever, the car. And then keep, moving forward and knowing exactly where you're going to be. I think the biggest thing here for many business owners is not having a clear path to success. Not having a clear path. And again, numbers tell you everything. So if you listen to them and you map them out and you take it little by little, step by step for that long-term goal, you're going to be successful. And I'm sorry, I may have interrupted you.
No, it's all good. This is great. What's really kind of sweet is we're building community, right? We have some amazing experts in numbers right here on this call. And I always admire the people that can look at numbers and they tell a story, because I can look at words and people and tell stories, but numbers, I'm not as effective, right? We're going to be celebrating 15 years of Rockstar Marketing in October. That'll be our 15-year anniversary. And I just want to give some love and shout outs to anybody who is new to running their business, whether new is under 5 years or going through, you're seasoned, but you're going through it. Even though I'm at the pinnacle of my success in this 14th going on 15th year, I still have issues. I thought that I was just going to round that corner and cross the finish line and be done. No, a whole new set of things come up. For example, we're having a record-breaking year. Yay. But why is my profitability kind of meh? Well, this is also the year where a lot of travel opportunities for business have opened up. People are so over the COVID isolation eras, and now people want to have their conventions. They want to meet in person. And this is a record-breaking year for travel as well. So I have my fixed costs and then I have my variable costs, and all this travel is eating up the profits that I've been making. But why do I do it? Well, because the travel is also equating to more sales. So it's all going to break out even over the end. But years ago, I wouldn't even know how to look at it and like, where's all the money going? And for those of you who are new, I highly recommend Profit First. It's a great book. Let's see, I've got it right here. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And it talks about putting your money into buckets. So can you guys see my screen? Profit First. Anyway, it's a fun read. And, some of us just need to have buckets. And some of us are not as talented as Wendy and her tribe. But when I started having literal checking accounts that have names on it, so there's my income account, then there's my profit account, then there's my operating expenses account. And in my ADHD, OCD, on the autism spectrum brain, I needed these buckets. And that's what keeps my sanity. Because before I started doing that, I'd be like, where the hell did all my money go? Like, my accountant tells me that I'm profitable, but I have $7 in my account. So anyway, you're in the right place, and I'm so glad that we're all together.
Thanks. Excellent. Excellent sharing. Thank you, everybody. Okay,
Mhm.
let's move to discussion question 4. How does that information off of your financial systems that informs your profitability affect your marketing strategy? Now, I'm going to tell a little bit of story behind this, because we all know what marketing is. We go out there, we do networking, we maybe do paid advertising. We have our websites. We do all sorts of things to get the word out about what we have to offer. But the real question when you're looking at profitability is what your brand is featuring the most profitable thing for you to be doing? One of our clients that I've worked with, and I'm going to alter the industry. This is based on a true story, but to shield the person, let's say she was running a restaurant and it was a franchise, and the franchise forced her to offer chicken nuggets as her primary targeted thing. That's what the restaurant was known for. People walked in the door wanting chicken nuggets, but chicken nuggets were not very cost effective. She had to sell them cheaply, and it cost a little bit to make them, so she didn't make a lot of profit on that. But she had this wonderful rotisserie chicken that she really wanted to sell because it was highly profitable, it was very delicious, and had great value. But what she found when she started looking at her profitability picture is that simply revenue, feet in the door activity was not the whole picture. What she needed to do was orient her marketing around delicious rotisserie chicken rather than the quick chicken McNuggets through the door. So how does that information inform how you might set up your marketing when you understand what is the most profitable thing you have to offer? And Darwin, love to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, so I would say, depending on how profitable a company is, they would need to evaluate what the greatest use of funds is in their marketing strategy and plan. So what would bring the highest ROI, return on investment, in terms of deploying those dollars. So that's the conversation or thinking that one would need to have in terms of if there is money to be invested or reinvested in the business, where it goes to. And usually there's companies will set up some kind of budget for marketing expenses before that feed into the bottom line profit. But if there's money to be left over as well, for a profitable business, you could then reinvest it. So different ways of investing, deploying, and money towards the strategy.
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting subject, because when we talk about profit and marketing, there are kind of two different avenues. One is how profitable is your marketing, which is where do you invest your market and what return you get. And there's an old axiom that 50% of your marketing dollar is going to be wasted, and you just don't know which half. It's like that's sort of the nasty little secret behind marketing. But part of this is also going back to your brand in terms of whatever vehicle you pick to be, in terms of investing in marketing, what are you marketing through your brand that is actually your biggest hook, which is actually your biggest profit getter, and to put some evaluation behind that at the brand level, even before you pick out whether a Google ad or your website or other things are going to be effective for that. Amy, do you want to give us some of your thoughts on marketing strategy and profit?
Well, I've learned a lot with this as well. So basically, last year sometime, I realized I kind of need to get on just like on the map with Instagram and stuff, because for my type of business and Aaliyah's, and I'm sure Jennifer's and some of the other folks out there, it's really important to, kind of have like a visual, for people to kind of see you and kind of be a little portfolio. They want to know about you as a person. So I started doing that. And I had a friend who, needed a little bit extra money. So I hired her, and it really worked great for a long time. But at this point in time, I found it to be counterproductive. What was great is I was getting sales people finding me, and that was lovely. But I realized that social media, is more for connecting with people. It's not really a way, for a service business to find clientele. So I'm in the midst of switching all of that up. I bought oh my gosh, a lead magnet, so I didn't have time to write one. So I have a lead magnet that I'm in the process of updating my website. I just started making like collaterals, signage, for like when I have, properties that are out there. So just trying to do different ways. And I've taken a couple of little online classes, and they say that mailers work really great, but it takes like 8 to 10 months. Does anyone have any thoughts on, how you switched up your strategies and what was effective?
Yeah.
Jennifer, you go for it.
What you're doing is great. And if it makes you feel any better, I, a professional marketer, have spent wasted time on things that I thought would be cool and they sucked. So you're not alone. It's just part of the process. You might consider Google Ads. You might consider running Google Ads and helping fill that funnel that you just purchased. We've had some great success. So again, we could take it offline, but if you want any information on that, I'll be happy to set up a time with you.
I'm
I
gonna
would
make
also
a
add.
couple. I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead, Amy.
I'm gonna make a couple of suggestions for you, Amy.
Sure.
You might want to consider house as a possibility. I don't know what the cost is of that, but I do know that some of our customers have used that and used that very successfully. The second one that I would probably recommend is joining organizations and getting yourself out there, networking, because that really works, especially in a professional services business. It does take time to build up, relationships, the know, like, trust. For those of you who've ever been in BNI or, read books about it, it really does make a difference. And I'll put a little plug in here, if I may, if you do know what the organization National Association of Women Business Owners, since you're a women-owned business, we are actually doing an event on August the 21st. I'm going to be leading that event about networking and how to do networking, sharing secrets of networking, and how to do referrals. There is a difference of how to do referrals. There's introductions and then there's referrals. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to myself or Shai, and we can get you some data about it, the workshop. But for a lot of people, networking is the way to do business development. Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the only point I want to give kind of a little bit of big picture suggestion on this. If you go to an aquarium and you watch schools of fish swimming around, and trust me, I have a point to this, you'll notice they all swim in mass. And then a few of the fish in that mass decide to go in a different direction. And they lead the way. And all of a sudden, the whole path of that school of fish is suddenly swimming in that direction and following them. And all of a sudden, it is now another big mass of fish. And marketing is like that. And I've been around marketing a lot, where be careful of digging in when the school of fish has been in that avenue a long time, because you get lost in the noise. So look for innovative ways to market yourself. Look for the bright idea that not a lot of people are doing yet, and be one of the first people in that. And that's where you hit the home runs of marketing, because when you're the fresh idea, and sometimes it's going back to some of the old school stuff that used to work that everybody is now swum away from. Try that instead. So just stay fresh and innovative. You're an artist, so creativity is part of your DNA, and just apply that to your marketing and find the channel that is fresh and new. And then you'll be the one who'll be sitting here going, this is the way to do it. And you'll be right for a time until everybody does it. And then you have to switch again. But you know, it's a very moving target. So I want to move to discussion question 5, and about operational strategies. How does knowledge of or just focusing on profitability affect your operational strategies? I'd kind of like to start with Wendy on this and just get her direction right up front.
Oh, well, thank you for that. So when I look at operations, the key thing for me, actually there are two. We'll talk first one about automation and systems. Your systems need to talk to each other. What I mean by systems is your QuickBooks needs to talk to your CRM and your payroll system, so that they all are integrated in such a way that you are much more efficient than doing manual processes. You'll find out as you progress, Amy, and Jen knows this, she's been in business 15 years. As you progress, you're going to get better and better and better about efficiency. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's just part of owning a business. But as time goes on, the more efficient you become, the more profitable you're going to be on the bottom line, on your net profit. Then you can take that money and put it back into your business again, or pay yourself, whichever you want to do. But having systems that talk to each other really is the key to getting more efficiently operational in your business. That's number one. And number two, as time goes on, I think there were a couple of comments about standard operating procedures, or SOPs. The interesting thing about this is once you start recognizing that you really need standard operating procedures and you start devoting time to that, you will get even more efficient. And your staff, when you hire your staff, they'll get more efficient. And when you have a new hire, that downtime to learn all of that new process will be minimized, because you've got it all documented as to how something should work. And most importantly, if you want to sell your business at some point in time, that buyer is going to give you a higher value. We're talking about profitability to value. They're going to put more emphasis on that when they're ready to sell, when you're ready to sell, because they know when you walk away from your business, there's still a basic operational part of the business that doesn't rely on you. The business then can run without the current seller. So the buyer then gets a higher return on their investment down the road because you got all those operations documented.
Great, excellent. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? I think just knock that one out of the ballpark. So
Start now. Start now. Can't start too soon.
And then our final discussion question is, how does profitability information affect your teams, and what talents are required for specific jobs? And Amy, I think you actually even touched on this a little bit earlier. Did you have any other thoughts on this?
So what I've done is from time to time I utilize my family. I flew my sister up to kind of help me get out of administration jail, and I'm having my son help me with some things, and I actually use Upwork for some other type of tasks, just because I can't work 80 hours every week, and farming out these tasks, and once you kind of get people trained and they understand, that's very helpful. I don't have an employee per se, so I'm probably not the person to ask, but in the very beginning of birthing a business, I think it's just really important to rely on some people that you can trust and that they have your best interests at heart. And and I provide food. So that's very important for my family members.
Excellent. Darwood, do you have any thoughts on people on teams and profitability?
I don't have too many thoughts around that on this particular question, Rob. So I'll just listen in on what everybody else or whoever else has anything.
And I think Jennifer does.
There you go.
I've got a story, and I confess I use this story in a class that I teach about SOPs. And I had an employee who was a friend of mine from high school. So, you never really want to fire your friends from high school, but I was very frustrated. And my husband reminded me that every time I point my finger, I have 3 fingers pointing back to me. So the fact that we had tribal knowledge was a fancy way of saying we didn't have it written down. So I knew that by writing it down in SOPs, I now had it documented how I wanted it. And then that way, when I was going head to head with my employee / high school friend who insisted that he was right, but it's like, but I'm the boss. So we had an uncomfortable headbutting, right? So I went ahead, got the SOPs written, and I'll tell you what, it did 2 things. It got buy-in across the entire team of how the appropriate way to do something was done, because they were all part of putting the process together. I didn't just be a benevolent dictator. I had the hive mind come to agreement as to how a certain process was done. And then after it was all said and done, and that person still didn't follow the processes, then I knew it was perfectly fine and acceptable for me to release him to go get a different opportunity, which actually did happen. He's now thriving in his new career. So it all worked out. But what was also really cool about these SOPs, it was like we cut rid of the boat anchor, and now we are really, like, the last 2 years have just been amazing in growth. And whenever we do have a new person, whether it be a contractor or an Upwork person or bringing an intern in, having these SOPs, it's just so smooth. So when we're young and new and at this whole business thing, we think, we don't need it. I can just tell them, trust me, you're gonna cross the line someday and go, I need that stuff written down so I don't have to keep repeating myself over and over again.
Exactly. Great story. Okay, I want to move because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Kind of want to do a round robin on your takeaway today. What did you hear that was like a little bit of an aha moment, or things that you want to pursue, or even questions you have? And I'd love to get a summation from Wendy to start, to get us kicked off on this.
Oh, thank you, Rob. So I want to thank everyone who's joined the call today, and really some great knowledge going back and forth. Great stories. I love the fish story, Rob, and I love your story, Jen. I will say, for those of you who have started a new business, the first 2 years is going to be probably the hardest you've ever worked in your life. And that's okay. So those are lessons you'll be learning as you go along. When I looked at the 4 points of focus, or I looked at what really made companies, not just good companies, but great companies, that's really how I came up with the 4 points of focus. When Jen was talking about SOPs, you can see how standard operating procedures really roll into people and teams. And if you don't have good financial structure, you can't have good operations to be more efficient. And if you don't know who you're talking to your customer, if you don't know who your customer is, how you talk to that customer, or what does it cost you to do it, you really are not targeting your dollars when you need to be in order to be able to attract that ideal customer that you're looking for. So I feel like we've touched on all of that. I appreciate you, Rob. The great takeaways, great stories. I really appreciate all of you. And think about really the 4 points of focus, how interrelated they are to build a holistic approach to running your business and creating that profitability plan.
Great. Darren, what is your takeaway today?
So since I'm Jennifer, much like you, I started my business in 2009, but since the pandemic, it's changed so much. You have such a great energy, by the way. And since it's changed so much since the pandemic, we are now gone from a on-campus sales team, goes in to completely virtual. And so we've now had to add marketing where we used to do direct sales to generate our leads. Now we're doing marketing. So much like Amy, we've hired people through Upwork and they're data mining and emailing and following up with phone calls and things of that nature. And so my takeaway is it's time for me to do what I did at the beginning of my business, create a new plan for this new approach because it changes commissions, it changes marketing budgets. And so I just need your help on how do I do that when I've been doing the same thing for so long? Now I have to look at my profitability in a very different way. And I'm not like you guys. I'm a sales and ops guy. I'm not a marketing person. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not a financial person. So that's my aha moment is I need that help in kind of restructuring everything almost from the ground up.
And Dawood, what is your takeaway today?
I would say super valuable the 4 points of focus that Wendy touched on and her summary. I think that's a great way of looking at things as a new business owner, having started my new consulting practice. Words to live by, points to focus on. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the business, but always open to new technologies and ways of looking at things. So, and I would say, just some of these questions and the responses I'll be thinking about in the coming days. So thanks so much.
Great. And Amy, what was your takeaway today?
Well, I like Wendy's idea about making a 12-month plan. And as a girl who's been throwing pebbles in a lake and watching all the pretty ripples, now I need to start throwing like stones and being very determined and mindful of each stone I throw in rather than just pebbles. I've been flying by the seat of my pants, and now I totally get it. What people were trying to tell me a long time ago, you can only take in when you're ready to take in and you understand and you're at that point. And because I feel that, with my marketing and, 12-month plan, I'll be able to increase my cash flow and have to need to focus on income producing activities. I took a 10-week class, and that, in as much as that was absolutely amazing, it was a business class. On top of working, I didn't have time to fill my pipeline. So now I'm screwed. And now the hustle lady has her hustle shoes on and is gonna hit it. But yeah, this is like really great. I love being around other business people because it's so inspiring because people from the outside don't really realize what it takes to go through this whole entire process and you're never out at the end because as you know, Darren, you're pivoting, right? There's a lot of pivoting, Jennifer, pivoting, everybody's pivoting. But I think if you just keep focused, keep those income producing activities with the 4 points, I think it's going to work. And that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. I love how artistically you express things.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know. I win everything.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And last but not least, Jennifer.
Oh, this is so much fun. Let's do it again.
Does anybody have any questions for Wendy before we move on?
Wendy, now that I'm still within that 2-year period, to get through the next 6 months, what did you do when you were like at your third and fourth quarter, like forecasting for your new businesses? I mean, like, because it's still a grind. What habits did you have that helped you get through?
So that's a great question. So especially those first 2 years are critical as to taking the time, just forget about what's going on day to day and plan what you're going to do for the next quarter or the next 90-day sprints, which is what I call them, right? Just take that time, whether it's a Friday, don't do it, if you can, don't do it on a weekend, but take a Friday, don't schedule any appointments, and just think about what you want to do with your business over the next quarter. And then break it down from there. That is probably what helped me a lot, just to kind of step away from the grind. Yeah, go ahead, Darren.
If I could add to that suggestion as a business owner who is not a financial expert, if you don't have your chart of accounts set up, talk to Wendy now, like right now. Your chart of accounts, to me, is where it all started. I didn't do that. And in my early days, I had an accountant, not a CFO, big difference. Oh, by the way, I had somebody set up my chart of accounts. And at one point at the end of my first year, I had 40% of my expenses were sitting in my office supplies category. Why? Because for tax purposes, it didn't make a difference. But for running my business, I had no idea where my money was going.
Mm.
And so if your chart of accounts, I don't know, Wendy, if you would start here or not, or anybody else, but if your chart of accounts aren't set up or you don't know what I'm saying, that's the first thing I would do in my first couple of days. Now that I knew that, I didn't, by the way. But anyway.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
dovetail off what Darren said about talk to Wendy, and that leads us to your personal profitability assessment. We want to be able to offer you 1 hour with Wendy. This is a service she provides, and she usually charges $275 per hour for it. It is a strategic coaching and advising session using our custom 4 points of focus. And because you guys came today and attended, you get as a gift that hour for being you and for being here. So we will be in contact to set that up with you, and excited to continue the conversation. And to Darren's point, ask Wendy.
Right.
So, and also just, a few other things to let you know that are available as resources. Feel free to order the book, The Only Business Compass You Will Ever Need, The 4 Points of Focus. It is a good, easy read textbook that you can absorb. If you want to throw your phone up and do the QR code, it'll take you right there. Otherwise, just go to our website. On our website, there is a complimentary excerpt. It's about 20 pages that give you a good taste of the book, and that is for absolutely free. So please do take advantage of that.
So Rob, what have some of our customers talked about when they started working with us? What have they said about the book when they read the book?
Actually, the one that comes to mind of one of the key things that was first out of their mouths was it was like a mini MBA in a book. As you pick up the book, and it gives you a huge, easy to read foundation, and you feel like you've got a master's degree when you don't.
And I see it's an audio too, so
Yeah,
I'm
audio.
literally buying it right now. Or not, I got 1 credit. So
There you go.
Thanks, Darren. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
And this is how you reach us. And I want to thank everybody for coming and participating today. Again, being mindful of everybody's time, we are ending exactly on time. It is 2:30, and thank you for coming.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
We'll get
Bye.
that information to you, Amy.
All right, thank you
Naba.
guys so much.
All
All
right,
right,
see you
Bye,
later.
everybody.
Thank you, Deb.